You know what else I, Callan, don't?
You know what won't? I was going to do basically the same thing.
And this is Gaytriarchs. So this week was my son's birthday, which will obviously be my something great. Not to spoil anything, but
spoiler alert.
Spoiler
so
alert.
You can skip through the end because who gives a shit about David being nostalgic about his son's birthday?
Exactly.
Okay.
So I got all this stuff in the mail that I had ordered for him for presents, and I got this thing in the mail, and I looked at it, and it was like one of those. It says on the outside, like, Italian biscotti, but it's got like snakes in the can. And my son is obsessed with like pranks and jokes and stuff. So I was like, this is going to be perfect. And it arrived in the mail, and I was like, oh, fuck, I totally forgot I ordered that. So I wrapped it up. We're opening presents, and it comes to this can of snakes. And he opens it. He's like, what is this? Biscotti? I don't understand this. And I was like, why don't you open it? And I'm just like so excited. He opens it, and suddenly I realize what it is and what it was. At the second he opened it, I go, oh my God. I had ordered the can of snakes prank. However, I ordered it for my adult friends, and instead of snakes, out pops a dick. And he opens the top, and this cartoon dick pops out, and I gasped, grabbed it from him before he really saw what it was. And he was like, wait, what was that? I said, sorry, it's broken. I'll have to fix it. I'll give it to you later. He was like, wait, what? And I said, never mind. Open the next present. Open the next present. I was fucking humiliated. And so luckily his next present was like really marquee, and he was like really obsessed with it. So I thought I was over it. And then later he was like, can you show me what that thing was? What was that thing? I didn't understand what it was. And I finally had to pull him aside. I said, listen, Daddy ordered a prank gift for an adult, thought it was for you. It's a penis. It's a joke. It's for our friends. He goes, let me see it. I said, fine. So I showed it to him one more time, and then I did not show the girl. But yeah, it was also in front of my 82-year-old mother, I want to point out.
The way that for all of you who don't watch us on YouTube because we don't have any presents there, my face is so red, and I'm just wondering if yours was as red as that. With the vein popping out.
Everyone was like, what is his problem? Why is it? Because I grabbed it in a hair, like a split second I grabbed it. Because I don't think really anybody saw it in the beginning, but as soon as he opened it, it was like, like everything comes together. They do the quick flash of the first hour and a half of the movie where the lead character realizes what happens.
Did Brian witness this? And did he just roll his eyes?
He did, but he didn't know what it was until later. I was like, it was a dick in a can. So
why didn't I think of having a dick jumping out of a can gag? Yeah. Like that seems like $1 million idea right there. Yeah. Why?
Well, they got my $20. So,
my God. There is no segue except to say that you'll be shocked to know that my Google account is completely full because I don't delete anything. So.
No. Except the emails in our Gmail account. Gavin, by the way, if you want to know a little behind the scenes here at GaytriarchsPodcast, Gavin will read an email. Let's say he reads an email from some PR rep who's like, hey, have this person on your show. He'll go, no, and then he'll delete it. Or he'll respond to the email and then delete the initial email that came in. It's fantastic.
This is nothing but lies and misinformation. And this is Gaytriarch. But that is not true. If I read something and I feel like it is dealt with, I will delete it. I'm not somebody who leaves every single email in the inbox. But anyway, I have way too many photos. I have photos in my Google Photos account that go back to 2012. So, and honestly, it might be like 40% of them are just duplicates. Or also, do you know how Google takes people's faces and it essentially is stealing all of our data and information, and then you'll have a headshot of every single person you've ever taken a picture of. It's very fast to delete it. So I've been going through stuff, and I've been going through a lot of pictures from 2012, 2013 when my kids were born and toddlers and whatnot. The amount, and maybe this is just because it's summertime and we have ice cream on the mind, and I don't know how many times a day my kids ask me to go get ice cream, which of course is not the same as just getting a carton of Friendlies for $4.99 instead. There are so many pictures.
I'm putting you back on the track.
I have so many pictures of my kids crying with ice cream in their hands. That is the entire point. And it has been very funny. And I'm thinking I should have a montage of my kids crying with ice cream in their hands.
Or like a section of your wall where
Mm-hmm.
it's just photos of your children crying with ice cream. Because to me, a family photo wall is boring unless it's got like a theme or a point of view.
Oh, nothing
That's a great
posed.
point of view.
Unless it's like ironically posed prom pictures or whatever.
Yeah.
But yes. And that made me think, do you have pictures? Does that strike something in you? Do you have pictures of your kids crying with ice cream? Because it's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I do, especially my daughter who cries about everything. But like, I do have, I have some memories that are coming up of like moments where they've been crying with ice cream in their hands.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's such a great idea. I think crying in happy places, like crying with ice cream, crying
Santa Claus.
Exactly. I think that's a really funny. That's a really funny theme for a photo wall.
I learned too late after another much funnier friend of mine said that she loved the traumatic Santa pictures because it was just so funny. And I tried too hard to get my kids to just like go along with it. They didn't cry, but they were just like, what the hell? And they would have a snack in their hand to kind of make them complacent. But
it is a weird cultural thing we do here about that. Here, sit on a strange adult man's lap and
smile.
Tell him you love him. What the fuck?
Well, speaking of strange men and their adults and how whether or not we love them or not, random story, won't take too long. A couple of weeks ago, I went to a Bob Dylan concert because a friend of the podcast, Steve Youngkite, invited me because he's a huge Bob Dylan fan. And I'm like, you know what? It'd be kind of cool to check that off my list. I saw a legend in concert. Well, let me tell you, when I say David Fabrizio Maria Vaughn, when I say that Bob Dylan had zero personality on stage. Ooh. I mean, that dude was way upstage, center at least. That was the only sense of stage presence he had, was way upstage, center, with a hoodie covering his face behind a piano. Now, let's ignore the fact that I knew not one single song. I mean, and when you're a fucking legend, give the people what they paid for. I can't even tell you what any Bob Dylan songs are off the top of my head, but I'm sure I know 3 of them. Like, come on, play those, right? No. This guy is such an artiste. He didn't want to deliver anything for the crowd. Nothing. Zero, nada. The point about parenting here is, so often, I just want my kids to realize you have to give people a little something of yourself. You can't always be an introvert. You do have to present yourself. If everybody just had a stage manager in their life, if every child had a stage manager in their life to say, this is how you speak in public, I think that the whole world would be a better place, frankly. And Bob Dylan needed that. So I want my kids to be able to know that you don't have to like public speaking, but you need to be able to stand there and give serve some personality, because otherwise everybody's going to think you're an idiot. Are you with me on this?
I just love how you're just throwing Bob Dylan under the bus. You're saying he is like a piece of shit. No, I also think, I bet he suffers from what a lot of like big name celebrities suffer from, which is where you were so big at a time in your life and you were so famous and you were so on the leading edge of everything. And then when you hit the peak and you go to the other side, when you're kind of like, your stardom is waning a little bit, but in your head or in your life, you still feel like a star. I feel like there's a little dissociation there. And so he thinks he's so famous that like hoodie on, I don't have to do anything is still enough. Yeah. And it's not enough anymore.
No. And you can't go through life thinking that you're too good for it. Even if you're an artiste, I get it. And I say that mockingly, like, okay, so he's a purist and whatnot. But I sat there thinking, I just don't want my kids to be, even if they are artists, I want them to be able to relate to the people around them. And sometimes those are skills that can be learned. They don't have to be inherent, just like, I don't know, take your hoodie off and make eye contact with some people. That's what it comes down to,
Well, speaking of criticism, let's talk about a listener email we got, which came for us, rightfully so. Actually came from Gavin. Let's talk about that. Here it is. This is regarding, I think it was last episode where we did like the speak up kind of theme.
Oh, yeah, right.
The listeners who shall not be named. Per your request, I'm speaking up. Mm-hmm. No more Bible talk. It's short-sighted, self-indulgent, and extremely tone-deaf, and blindly ignores the far greater problematic aspects of what it stands for, not just the justification of homophobia, but also racism, misogyny, and war. So please just stop. There. I've spoken up. Thanks. Listener, you spoke up and we heard you. And I agree. I don't agree because
tell me what you agree with, David,
Yes.
because you very quickly responded and said, I agree. And I stayed up for another hour and a half that night thinking, wait a minute, what have I done? Is David mad at me? Should I write Brian and say, is David mad at me?
Yes, that's the way to squash. Yeah. No, what I was saying, what I agree with was, I think less that we mention the Bible on our show in a joking way, and Gavin is an atheist who goes to church and that's weird and whatever. Like I didn't agree with that. But what I agreed with was, it's all fucking stupid and we shouldn't give it any more weight. The Bible is not real. Christianity is fake, and it's the cause of most negative things on the planet. We don't often go that far, even though that's how I feel, because we try to make the show light, whatever. But his point stands. This is kind of the center of all bad things in the world, I would argue, is kind of people's allegiance to this old fucking book that literally stands for the worst things on the planet. But I would defend Gavin in saying Gavin does not stand up for any of that shit. This is a weird kind of intellectual exercise for his New England self. And also, Gavin is an atheist and thinks it's all bullshit. I'm sorry to speak for you, but I wanted to, yeah.
I have found it in this intellectual exercise of reading the Bible in a year, plowing through it, as I always say, it has been hilarious to me, the themes that have popped out. And that's why I brought that up last week, when there were so many proverbs in particular that were all about minding your kids, but so much of it was about beating them, basically. And I just found that hilarious. And I don't know, I use it as a public service announcement to be like, by the way, for those who have read the Bible or need a reminder, I haven't read, this is hilarious to me that the foundation of family values basically says dozens and dozens of times, beat your children. Beat your children,
gays are terrible, own people of color, all the things.
I'm going to murder entire societies at a time because they didn't make me God.
Yes,
happy.
Exactly. And listen, the reason we don't go into this ever into detail is because we probably have Christian listener too. We have atheist listener, we have Christian listener. Everyone knows I'm not devout, but like I am a outspoken atheist.
Can you be a devout atheist? I bet you can.
Not devout, but like I'm not like wavering on my atheism. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm an agnostic. No, I am an atheist, but I don't spend time thinking about it because atheism is inherently a lack of belief. And honestly, Gavin also doesn't think any of this is real. So listener, we apologize. You are right. This Bible is full of trash. We shouldn't give it any weight. However, this was just a mention of how fucking crazy it can be when it comes to mentioning parent and beating your children.
And and I'm going to keep reading and pointing out the absurdities that make me laugh about it. Speaking of absurdities that make me laugh, a couple of weeks ago, we had our dad hack of the week was some, Instagram nonsensical thing that I read that said basically how to avoid arguments with your kids. Say, instead of arguing, say things like, you don't have to agree with me, you do have to follow the boundaries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There were a bunch of those. I think the best one, it ended with, I know you don't like my answer, you still need to respect it. Well, listener, I am here to report that none of this works with a 14-year-old girl. None of it. Absolutely none of it. I try my best to actually say things like, I know that you're upset, sweetie, but my answer isn't going to change. Well, the level of fury that has been met with makes me think this is ridiculous and I just need to go around yelling too and not be the adult in the room. So that hack has not worked, everybody. But if anybody else can find a good hack, please let me know.
I know. I feel like half the hacks that we've given on this podcast have never worked.
I mean,
and we're just peddling nonsense.
The inherent definition of hack, basically, I feel like goes along with that, right? Somehow. But you know what? Here's a half hack I'm going to throw into here. I listened to a podcast just recently, 99% Invisible podcast. It's excellent. Everybody should listen to it. And they did a whole series about the Finnish baby box, and that since World War II, the country of Finland sends basically a care package to all expectant parents, but they require you to go to a doctor, basically have neonatal or prenatal check-ins with your doctor. And it's a way, some might say a socialist country monitors people, but like, hey, let's face it, giving healthcare. And then when you register, you get a baby box that has like really nice blankets and baby bottles. And the box itself is meant to serve as a baby Bjorn, or not a Bjorn, sorry, a bassinet that babies grow up in, and it's supposed to be very democratizing. So lots of Finnish people are like, yep, I spent the first 4 months of my life in a cardboard box. How am I making that a dad hack? move to Finland. That's my dad hack, is move to Finland to be a parent.
We like to have dad hacks here that are really easy, that are for the common man, that you can anybody can do, right?
Already too long. I do want to highlight so that there is no good news in the world. Were you aware, David?
Man.
Absolutely no good news. But I have dug deep as America's finest news source. Guess what? Falcon. What does the word falcon mean to you, David?
If I'm being honest, a late 90s porn network.
Yeah. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
It still exists.
Oh.
Falcon porn.
I thought I was making a joke. This is actually real. Okay.
Nope, this is actual real. Falcon has its own literary branch, and they are launching a gay romance line of books.
Okay.
Guess what? It's largely focused on women. They think that the audience is going to be women reading gay romance. But hey, in the era of
I think that
rivalry,
is really smart because heated rivalry, every woman wants to. Oh my God, this is a great idea, Falcon.
Yeah. So Falcon, our famous porn company, is launching gay romance, which is hilarious. A couple of weeks ago, Calgary Pride celebration broke an attendance record for a huge drag festival. RuPaul was there, and they had more than 7,000 people at one drag performance. So
wow.
Yay, Calgary, and yay, RuPaul. And then finally, in Virginia, a 7th grader has band together with some of their cohorts in their 7th grade. They're suing the school district for pulling support of a gay straight alliance club. This kid actually got approval from one of the teachers. The teacher said, yes, I'll sponsor it. The principal was on board. They wrote a little constitution. What is the point of it? Basically, it was like, let's just hang out and watch YouTube videos was the whole point of the GSA club. And then guess what? Some crazy people got wind of it, and the Board of Ed actually said, no, we're going to pause this. So guess what? That little 7th grader is exercising their civil rights. I don't know actually truly the gender of the kid. And they are taking it to the courts. So, I'll do my very best to pay attention to this, but I'm sure that unless it's actually fed to me in a TikTok feed, I won't see it again.
One of the things I didn't expect to really love as an older person, is watching the youngs fucking make shit better.
Take it
like
over,
it feels
youngs.
so good. Like I thought, like what I feel like, oh, I should do that. I should. No, it feels so good to see young people fucking throwing their weight around and
so
making the world a better place. Fuck, man, that feels good.
Yeah.
No.
You know what else feels good? Our DILF of the week. That felt like,
it did, but now I get why you said that. Like, it feels good. Like, hopefully you can be inside of us. Is that what you're thinking?
I've been very excited this week with the political primaries that are going on across the country. Particularly today is Tuesday. There are some big things going on in Wisconsin and Minnesota. But anyway, last week was Michigan. Abdul El-Sayed. Have you heard of this guy by chance, David?
No.
Abdul El-Sayed won a very hard-fought primary with another woman who's actually in Congress. Abdul has never been an elected official before, but he is running for the U.S. to be the Senate candidate. And let me tell you, David, his politics are excellent. Mm-hmm. He is an amazing speaker. Mm-hmm. He's a very exciting, galvanizing person who is very much in the middle of Michigan. I mean, holy cow, they're going for a super progressive in Michigan.
Get to the good stuff, Gavin. I don't care about any of that stuff.
Let me tell you, this guy wears a black t-shirt.
He does, a tight one.
His gun's out, and we need some buns out. And Abdul El-Sayed, father and Senate candidate, and presumably straight and married to a woman, but nevertheless, he is hot, and he is our DILF of the week.
Wait, I had a great idea, Gavin.
Do tell.
What if we come out with a Gaytriarchs calendar in our merch store, which we're going to launch very soon, by the way, guys. I actually had some people ask me about merch, and we have every month is one of our DILFs of the week. Doesn't that sound great? Would you guys, listener, reach out to us and let us know if we created a Gaytriarch calendar and it was the DILF of the week calendar, would you buy it? Oh, God, I hope so.
That's a great idea. Thank you, listener, for giving us that idea. No. Or was that you, David? Oh, whatever.
It was my idea, Gavin. How did you give it to our listener? Our listener wrote us that mean email. It wasn't mean. By the way, I'm joking.
We love it.
You were totally right.
Well, speaking of nothing, you know what won't be featured in our DILF of the Week calendar?
What?
Our top 3 list.
Gaytriarchs, top 3 list, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, Gavin, I have a big surprise for you. I don't know if you know this because are you looking at the camera? But we have a special guest for our top 3 list here. Maybe our most special guest.
I mean, we haven't had a lot of special guests, so it's not exactly like she's in a long list of illustrious guests who have guested here. But I believe your husband, Brian, was one of them at one point.
That's true. That's true.
Top 3.
We have a very special guest who will be a real guest on our show someday. However, today she is just our top 3 guest. She is my sister-in-law, the surrogate to our first child, the bane of my existence, my sister-in-law, Erin.
The feeling would be more mutual.
So Erin is here visiting for Emmett's birthday, and we thought, she was like, well, I want to do a top 3 list. I was like, then you fucking pick a list. And she picked one. And so even though last week we said this week was going to be different, we're going to do a different top 3 list. This week, it is our top 3 triggers. Great. Triggers as parents. And so, Erin, you are our special guest. What would you like the order to be?
Let's do, of the 3 of us?
Yeah. You get to choose the order. You're in charge now.
You're in charge.
David, because he'll hit me if not, and then Gavin, and then me.
Okay. All right.
That's what I would have chosen too, Erin. You're already on the top of my list.
I'm within arm distance, so.
Okay. Right. All right. So for me, number 3, this is when something has been lost by my children.
Mm-hmm.
And then they ask me where it is. Uh-huh. And I tell them, I don't know. And they get frustrated with me because I don't know where they put their Pokemon cards, where they put their water bottle at school, where they lost their strings. You can hear in my voice, it's stressing me out, but it's number 3.
Okay.
Number 2, and this is something I work on with my kids every single day, and every single day they ignore me. When they're calling for me from another room and they say, Daddy, and I don't answer, instead of moving to a different room and saying the same word again, they just say, Daddy, louder and louder until they're screaming or maybe crying instead of moving around the house.
Don't you think the fact that this is a recurring thing on a daily basis might mean that you're a little bit at fault too, that you haven't figured this out for them, right? Come on.
And my number 1 is, so number 1 for me, when I'm saying something to my child doesn't listen. So I say it again and I say it again. Put on your shoes, put on your shoes, put on your shoes. And then finally I have to yell, put on your shoes. And they whip their head around to me and they say, why are you yelling? I'm right here. I heard you. And every cell in my body wants to leap out of it and just strangle them with my mitochondria. With the double helix of my DNA. I want to strangle my children because I was like, if you had listened the first time when I talked calmly. Okay, anyway, I'm sure there's going to be crossover in this list. There must be. Well, but yeah, all right, there already is.
First of all, that seemed like number 2 and number 2.5 because the interaction between those two is obviously fantastic. I know that you were feeling that as well, and yeah, it is. That's all totally relatable. But I'll let you know that my triggers seem to be different. I wonder if this is related to personalities or our astrology signs or
age,
I don't know.
Too, you know?
Age.
Yeah.
Whoa, was that a Gavin age?
Was that a dig?
Wow.
Was that a dig because I'm so old?
Welcome to the team, Erin. Welcome to the team.
So, for me, number 3 for me, spirit days.
Oh, geez.
When I hear my daughter, or my son actually doesn't give a shit. When my daughter tells me at 10 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, oh, by the way, tomorrow is a spirit day. And I think, Jesus, what email did I not pay attention to?
Yeah.
Why do we suddenly care about spirit days? Usually you don't care about spirit days, but this means I have to run out to whatever store is open and fashion some kind of spirit day. But also it reminds me of when I was a kid and how I always felt self-conscious because everybody else's spirit day participation was way better than mine was. So there's a bit of insecurity there too, because I'm like, oh God, some other Pinteresty parent is going to absolutely blow my kid out of the water and they're going to come home and be like, you failed, Dad. So it's all about me.
Especially if you have 2 different kids in different schools and spirit days don't align and you need literally AI to organize all of your spirit day outfits.
I mean, the number 2 thing that drives me homicidal is, can we have a sleepover? Because that just means, oh, Jesus, I'm not going to sleep. Or if you go to the other parent's house, you're not going to sleep. If you were at my house too, you're not going to sleep. The kids don't sleep. Just sleepovers. Like, why do we have to do the sleepovers? Nothing good comes from sleepovers. They just stay up late. They just get tired. Then I have to like ruin my morning the next morning thinking like I either need to deliver kids or I need to go pick them up. Can I have a sleepover is just so triggering for me.
I agree.
Ugh. Number one, especially in the summertime, is I'm bored. Because I know that I have to figure out how to entertain them because I'm not good enough, despite everything that I say. The unsolicited advice that I give incessantly on this stupid podcast is A, let them get bored, and B, be better about making them get bored so they have to work their way through it. But let's face it, when they tell me that they're bored, that means it's just going to be a phone battle about getting the phones back in their hands. And that drives me homicidal, especially in the summertime, is just hearing I'm bored.
But also, Gavin, we are hypocrites here.
That's true.
We often give advice we don't take ourselves.
100%.
Okay,
Thank you for that reminder.
Our special
Aaron.
I do have some crossover. So my number 3 was, which just happened. I took my kids to camp. I have 13-year-old girls. They're twins. So pray for me, Gavin.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So asking an hour before we have to leave, if they're totally done getting ready, everybody says yes. Then suddenly when it's time to get in the car, everybody's running all over the place.
Yes.
I can no longer get anyone in the car.
Yeah.
Number 2 is asking them to do a task that happens at the same time every single day, setting the table, getting ready for dinner. Somehow it's a complete and total fucking surprise every time.
Every time.
Yeah. Like brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
We have brushed our teeth thousands of times
every day
at 8 p.m. exactly the same time.
Yeah.
And every time it's like, oh, you're gonna just throw this on me last minute?
How dare you?
Like, bitch, are you kidding me?
You just invented toothbrushing? No, I don't think so.
No.
Where did this rule come from suddenly?
Yes.
Yeah, so relatable.
What is this, Nazi Germany?
And then my number 1 was the same. It's you ask a question, they don't respond multiple times, you keep saying it, and they're like, I heard you. So, that drives me crazy. Makes me ragey immediately. Yeah,
when they throw us into a rage with their rage, that their indignance, that we haven't catered to them in the ways that these entitled little shits of 2026. My goodness.
God, for real.
I mean, and also really what we're saying is kids don't listen. And this is like the most boring, like parenting tape, but it still feels so fresh and new every fucking time when your children just don't listen.
Yeah.
No matter the age of the children or the age of the parents.
I love that Aaron jumped on our show and was a little bit shady to you.
Shady. Yeah.
Really important.
Yep. Thanks, Aaron. That it definitely shows.
Oh my God.
Thank you, Aaron.
She was our special guest star. All right. So are we going to just jump back in for our next episode? I guess we'll just continue on with our previous top 3 list.
What do you remember what it is?
I could look, but
top 3 icons.
Oh, yeah.
I am on it.
Okay.
Top 3 icons. Aaron,
thanks,
you can come back and tell us about your 3 icons if you'd like to also. But in the meantime, thanks for demeaning yourself by being on our stupid little podcast.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you.
David, these guys who are on our podcast today have been airing their financial trauma for more than a decade. Both of them thoroughly more responsible, intelligent, and financially prepared for the coming meltdown of our democracy and economy, and soon to be literally fleeing the country because of, well, obviously. David, please welcome David and John Auten-Schneider, a.k.a. our podcasting heroes of the Queer Money Podcast. Hey,
Hi,
David
guys.
and John.
Hey, well, hello there. Wow,
Yes.
that's a big ego boost in the morning, huh?
Okay, well,
We try to ego boost you as much as possible in the intro, so then we can slap you down during the
Oh,
interview.
right. I like a good slapping.
all righty.
Great.
Well, let's slap it to you now.
We'll feel right at home.
So normally we start out with how has your kid or a kid driven you bonkers today? And I want to ask you that question still, but I think it begs a little bit of background. Can you just tell us your family makeup and how you indeed are parents of a certain kind?
Yes, definitely. So this is David. In 1998, I asked a guy out, Stuart, and the day I asked him out was the day that he and a lesbian friend of his found out that they were pregnant.
Wow.
And so they had kind of rushed into having children together. And so I was there for the whole pregnancy. I was there in the birthing room when Joey was, kind of funny side story, long labor. So finally at like 7:00 in the morning, one of our roommates and I decided to go across the street to get bagels for everybody. We came back. Well, during that time period, our son Joey was born because they found out that with the contractions, his lungs were getting compressed. And so they went in and yanked him out, so to speak. And so from then on, I have basically been a step parent. I was with Stuart for the first 5 years of Joey's life. Wow. And then probably for about 2 to 3 years after that, John and I spent a lot of time with Joe. And then we kind of took a little bit of a break. His dad and I did not have a good parting of the ways, and I think some drama got involved there, and so he wasn't allowing me to see Joe for a while. But then in his, I would say, just preteens, maybe 11, 12 years old, we started to engage with him a lot again, and even more so as he aged and are parents to a 27-year-old.
Wow. I mean, I cannot imagine having that first date and being
That's what I was thinking.
Whoa. This is not really what I just wanted to get a little heege, a little beej, a little something as the night goes on.
Yeah, like what's your favorite color versus we're pregnant. Yeah.
That was gay dating in the 1900s, though.
Well, what was really what was really interesting is I had done a vision mural on my wall where I just cut out pictures and things and put them all over my wall. And right in the center, I had a picture of a dad with a kid.
Wow.
And because I at that time, I really wanted to be a parent. And Stuart came over to my place on our second or third date, and he said, "What is all this?" And I said, "Well, that's what I would like my life to look like."
That's you, Stuart. I manifest you.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what happened was I really did want to be a parent, and so I got the opportunity to be a parent.
We've said a lot of gay things so far. I think the late 90s vision board may be the gayest thing we've said so far, with 4 gay men in a room together. I just love, and I feel like it was decoupaged. I feel like there was maybe some photos of the Romeo and Juliet movie with Leo DiCaprio on that thing.
No, I wasn't a Leonardo.
I have never been a Leo fan.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't a Claire Danes fan. So but the movie stands up. Well, that is a fascinating story of getting into it. But now let's be real. How has Joey driven you bonkers today already?
Well, the biggest frustration we have with him at this very moment is that we're sitting our butts in Toledo, Ohio, very red state, kind of a purple city, and he's sitting in Paris, France, enjoying his life.
Oh my God. Just
so we're
constant.
That's rude. That's rude.
Yeah.
He's having a baguette on the streets overlooking the Seine, and you guys are in Toledo, Ohio.
Yeah. Yes. We feel so basic.
So, you are so basic. So, okay. So getting into the financial aspects of what you guys specialize in, how did you immediately set Joey up for financial success?
Yeah, that's a good story.
Sure. So I worked in financial services pretty much my whole career. So when Joe was born, I immediately said, I'm going to set up what is called a uniform transfer to minors or gift to minors account. It's an account where you can invest for a child. You can open these accounts in some cases for as little as $25 a month. I was doing $50 a month, $25 from each paycheck going into that account. So I started that in 1999, and I did that for those first 5 years being with Stuart and a part of Joe's life. I think that I think maybe when we re-engaged with him when he was around 11 or 12, I started it up again and did it for another year. But I think at its high mark, it had around $15,000 in the account. We used that money so anytime he wanted something, he wanted an iPhone, a computer, an iPad, all that stuff, he got it.
Fancy boots.
He wanted to
New York City.
Right. He wanted to go to New York City with his best friend for graduation. And I said, if you want it, you can have it because we have the money. And literally, I don't think I put more than, I probably didn't put more than about $2,000 or $3,000 in the account, right?
Wow.
And even to the point where when Joe went off to college, decided to go to France for university, he went to Parsons and went to the Paris campus of Parsons over in New York. Whenever he wanted money for something, including what John just mentioned, a pair of boots, he got the money for it because I saved or put that money aside early on. And I used growth rather than cash to pay for the things that he wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, God, I'm already questioning all my parenting decisions. That's for sure. But once again, that is called, what is that account called?
It's a uniform transfer or gift to minors. It's UTMA or UGMA.
It's different in each state.
Yeah, any brokerage firm that you have an account with or mutual fund company, they will know exactly what you're talking about.
There's also the account where, like, I know if your child works as an actor here in New Jersey, New York area, they need to have certain very specific accounts that money is paid, and UTMA is one of the accounts that is required.
Well, yeah. So this account specifically is for gifts or money that is given to the child. The child cannot contribute to these type of accounts for themselves, in part because you get, as a parent or guardian of a child, you get a tax break on any gains that they have in that account. You don't have to pay taxes. I think it's like now. I think it might be the first $1,500 or $1,800. I need to be checked on that because it's been a long time since I've looked at that specifically. But not having to pay that amount of taxes or deduct that means that money can continue to grow significantly over time.
And you can buy more boots, which is honestly another leveling of the gayness of this thing is saving for boots.
More boots.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the great thing that came from it, not only were we able to provide him these experiences, but every single time we got him something, it kind of sounds like he was spoiled, but every single time we got him something, we explained, this is how we're able to afford it.
Yeah.
You have this money here, and we're using the growth from this money, not the principal, to be able to buy all this special stuff for you. So now, I mean, he's a producer of our podcast, so he can't get away from us, but he's investing. He's saving, despite being 26 years old, not making a lot of money and living in a very expensive city. He's still saving and investing. And he constantly asks us questions about money and about saving for his retirement at age 26, which I never even did.
Yeah.
So does that mean if Joe becomes our producer, we would just pay into that account as well for a very low amount?
No, you actually pay us, and then we'll make sure you get money.
Oh, that does not sound like the same deal. All right.
Yeah. But I feel like that's an important aspect of what you just said, which is the education of it, right? It's not necessarily like, look, we have this money for you. It's like, this is how the money was created in order to make him more financially savvy. And so that brings me to my next question, which I'm sure a lot of the people, all of our listener are thinking who are about to have a kid is, what do I do financially? Like, if you're going to have a child tomorrow, like, what is the first thing that you would suggest parents do who maybe don't have a ton of money, but they have this new child to start thinking about?
Yeah, I think right now it's similar to the UTMA, UGMA account, is called a 529 plan. These are literally one of the best types of investment accounts out there. But originally, 529 plans were set up to help people cover the basics of further education, going to college predominantly. But over the last decade or so, they've become very liberal on how this money can be used. And you can actually even now use the money that's in this account and that grows in this type of account to fund primary school if they want to go to a private school, during their teen years or whatever. It can also pay for college. It can also, later in life, if they still have this account, even when they retire, if they decide to move to Spain or France and take like a culinary class in retirement, it can fund that class for them.
But it can only
phenomenal.
Be spent on education, on educational purposes.
Education, but like pens, pencils, computers, room and board if they go to school, either during high school or college. The way it can be spent is pretty liberal as long as it can be justified as for education.
So if you're studying fashion, you can buy boots with it.
I was just thinking about the boots. I'm still thinking about the boots, honestly.
I wouldn't want to be your accountant.
One of the nice things is that what if your kid doesn't go to college, right? If they decide they're going to go a different route, right? One of the nice things is that you can at a certain point, as the quote unquote owner, you're the child who is now the owner of the account, you can convert up to $35,000 of that account into being a Roth retirement account. The nice thing about a Roth retirement account is that money grows and you never have to pay taxes on it. So you could literally set your kid up for having a great retirement as well as having an education. So if the money grows significantly, then they have that opportunity. The other thing I would add for what we would do for parents who have children and also are entrepreneurs, they own a business, is that we would immediately say, figure out some way to employ your kid in your business, because then you can set them up with retirement accounts at a very early age, and then they can put money into their retirement accounts. So, for example, I just did a couple of quick numbers here. If your child starts working for you, let's say you figure out some way for them to work for you when they're 1 year old, right? Okay, so you're taking some pictures of them, you're using them in some manner in your business, but you keep on doing that for the first 18 years of their life. When they're 18, they would, and if this was invested in an aggressive manner, which it could be because you have a long time horizon, that kid would be 18 and have around $40,000. If they continued that, investing $1,000 a year, when they reach the age of 62, they're going to have $2.5 million. And this is only on $1,000 a year.
Wow. First of all, David, have we ever had anybody calculate in real time on Gaytriarchs? First of all,
other than like how much longer they have to be here before they get to leave. That's the only thing people have actually calculated.
And $1,000 a year. Now I definitely have seen Instagram posts with somebody saying, if you just employ your kid, you can do exactly what you were just illustrating. But it always seems like a scam to me. Or is that ethical to employ?
But isn't that all
your
tax
1-year-old?
law is just various scams, and everyone's trying to scam each other, and the U.S. Department, the Treasury Department, trying to scam us, and we're trying to scam
So
them.
you're an idiot if you're not taking advantage of it, basically.
Well, as an entrepreneur, I would say almost any sort of business, you're going to be able to find something that your kid can do for you that alleviates some of your day-to-day work life, right? It just it could be as simple as they're required to clean your office once a week, or they do your social media, or they go through and delete your junk mail in your email, right? If you can find simple tasks for your kids to do. One thing I would caution, and we probably are maybe touch on this later, is just how you use your kid if the kid is going to be used in your social media or in your business. You want to be careful that you aren't being unethical, right? Your kid you need to leave your child the choice to say, no, I don't want to be the face of your business, or I don't want to be used by you.
You'll end up like Lola and Madonna.
Right.
Oh, awkward. Yes. But
It's
now
funny,
I'm absolutely employing. I'm just going to employ my kids to clean my office from now on, and I'll just say that the Queer Money Podcast guys told me to do it. Go ahead, David.
Actually, I was just gonna say, like, can you run some numbers real quick for me? I pay my son $1 every time the trash goes out, so it's $2 a week. How many millions of dollars is he going to give me at 18? Can you run those numbers real quick? Well, I don't know if you can run those numbers. But actually, I was thinking about while you were talking, like, one of the things I notice a lot in the gay men's kind of parenting groups, especially in the surrogacy groups, is men who are like, hey, we want to become dads. And they're maybe thinking about adoption or surrogacy or whatever. And they're like, oh, cool. We don't have $200,000 to do surrogacy. We don't have $50,000 to $80,000 to do private adoption. And they all kind of look to these groups saying, what's the secret we're missing? And I feel like the hard truth is that there is no secret. But I wanted to ask you guys, if you had, dads to be who were like, how do I prepare financially for something like surrogacy or these huge, major financial things? What advice would you give them?
Well, I think first of all, I would say, please be careful of the advice that you take from some of the parenting websites. I have seen several of the sites encourage folks and have financial advisors encouraging folks to take out loans of hundreds of thousands of dollars at 5, 7, 8, 10% to be able to have children. Just think, do the calculation. How long would it take you to pay that off? And what is the total cost? Because it can be astronomically expensive then. You're looking at upwards of $500,000 if you're getting a really high interest rate like we are today. So please be very careful about that. The second thing I would say is pretend you're already parents for a year. Give it a year, pretend you're already parents. What would you be doing? How would you be spending your money if you were a parent? Because remember, your kid every month is going to need clothes. It's going to need extra. You're going to have to add to your food budget. You're going to have to add insurance. You're going to have all of these extra things.
Daycare.
Yes,
sorry, you didn't. This is the
exactly.
most expensive one. $1,500, $2,000 a month in daycare. Yeah,
right,
Yeah, it's
right. And if you can't, remember when you were in high school, you were either given an egg or a doll and said, "Take care of this," right? Well, do the same thing with your finances. And the hard part of that is that most couples don't really talk about their finances together and don't have a budget, don't understand how much things cost or how much they're actually spending. And what this does is it gives you the opportunity. And what I will say is, all during that time period, when you're pretending that that's what life is like, you're putting that money into a savings account.
Yeah.
Right.
High yield savings
work.
account.
Right. All that money is going into high yield savings account so that you have a much larger pool to pull from when you are ready to actually, I don't know. I want to say,
your load.
I was going to say pull the trigger, but that's not the right expression
yes.
here. I mean, I guess
John,
it
you
could
did
be
say
pulling
shoot
your
your
trigger.
Pulling the trigger to shoot your load. Yes.
you're in the right place to say both of those things.
What's the difference that you've seen in your work between straights and gays? Is there any financial literacy differential there?
I don't think there's any difference in financial literacy, but there are definite inherent perks when it comes to finances to being straight. We've dealt with several couples. One, there's the straights have this, like, when they're born, this is how life works. You graduate high school, college, you get married in your 20s, 30s, you have kids, and like you go along that path. Well, a lot of us didn't have our first real relationships until we were in our 20s and 30s, right? So we weren't going to go right from our first date to marriage, maybe right from our first date to bed, but definitely not to marriage. And so we didn't follow the traditional path. And so the traditional timeline doesn't necessarily work out for us. And so unfortunately, what we've experienced with a lot of the guys that we've worked with is that they're not really thinking about their finances until they're like 40 or 50 years old, which, I mean, that 20, 30-year gap is hard to make up. Whereas traditionally, straight people are having kids a little bit younger, and that seems to be about the time when they get married. They start having kids when they start to say, okay, we need to maybe start taking some of this financial stuff seriously. Whether they do it right or not or well is a completely different story. The other challenge that LGBTQ plus people have is that we don't necessarily get the same kind of support inherently from the system that straight people do. We paid for our own wedding. There was no way, any way, shape, or form. David's parents refused to accept me in their family. My parents can't accept the fact that we're married as husbands. There's no way they were going to pay for anything. So that came out of our pocket. Mom and dad didn't help in any way. We didn't necessarily get the support for buying our first apartment, the down payment. We didn't get, here are the sheets and towels, and here's a dish set. Like all those little things when you kind of go off on your own. A lot of LGBTQ plus people don't necessarily get that. And so that kind of nickels and dimes you up until, you're kind of fully established. And then you don't think about your finances until you're 50. It's a little hard to make up.
Yeah. I'll add, I'm just going to give you another quick calculation since I'm the numbers person in this relationship.
Oh, right.
Can you see the smoke coming out of his head?
John mentioned paying for a wedding. So we've done this calculation. If you're 35 as a couple and you're getting married and you spend that $25,000 versus getting $25,000, the couple who gets the $25,000, they make the decision, okay, we're going to take our own money, $25,000, and put that in our retirement accounts versus the gay or queer couple that doesn't, that $25,000 growing over the next 35 years would be somewhere between $350,000 to $650,000 that you would have more in retirement. And this is part of the reason why one of the number one questions that we get from gay men especially is, I'm 50, 55, 60 years old. I haven't saved or don't have a lot saved for retirement. What can I do?
Yeah, it's you say that and it's like it's reminding me how sometimes I get mad at the world
Yes.
that I've gotten comfortable in, and I'm like, you're right, because as gay men or as queer people, sometimes our life doesn't start till much later because of the way the system is. Like you said, like we're born to the system of like, listen, you're gay, you're just gonna party in Ibiza until you die of AIDS, and it's like, whoa, wait, that's not true. Like we have real lives, but then coming out later, starting your quote unquote long term life later. Yeah, you don't start saving till 50, and then you're really super fucked. We went to the pool the other day with some straight friends. We only try to hang out with straight friends once a week, but they had just met with their financial advisor, and they were like feeling really down about it. And they make really good money, and I was like, "What's wrong?" And they were like, "They're in their mid 30s." They said, "Our financial advisor said if we want to retire at, I don't know, it was like 55 or 60. It was a relatively young age." With our money now, we would need to save $16,000 a month.
Oh my God.
We retire to get the money we would want. And I was like, oh, fuck. And then I made the mistake of going online and running one of these retirement calculators. And I was like, oh, never going to happen. Like legitimately never going to happen. And I feel like I see that with like, my parents and older people who are like, yeah, you work and one parent worked and the other person stayed at home. And now we have a pension. Now we retire and go vacation. That's not happening anymore.
That's not life.
Yeah.
No.
That's not going to happen anymore. Two parents work full time until forever. I mean, is that?
Well, and I'll caution. We always remind folks that it's in the financial interest of the financial services industry to tell you that you'll never have enough money. Right? Because for many corporations, they're getting a piece of that money that you have saved. So your advisor is always going to tell you you never have enough. The financial media is always going to tell you never have enough because they want you to keep working. The whole economic system wants you to keep working because they get taxes from you. They get a cut of your money, right? Yep. We as individuals, we need to define what is enough, where is enough, what my lifestyle is going to look like when it's enough. But you want to retire and live in San Francisco or LA or New York, yeah, you're going to probably need upwards of $5 to $10 million. You can retire in plenty of other places for a heck of a lot less money.
Yeah. Oh boy. I am
this interview just stopped. This freight train just hit a giant cow, and I'm just like, fuck me.
The only, I think that my takeaway is already the only financially smart thing that I've done in my life is have you guys on this podcast to then be sobering. But bringing it back to kids a little bit, something that we think I struggle a lot in my family with is allowance. And actually helping my kids understand the value of money because they definitely just see me as an ATM machine. And even though I am saying this out loud and I know I need to convey / educate them about the importance of money, at the same time, I do such a shitty job of consistency that I am not teaching them budgeting rules. But do you have any advice for instilling those values for at whatever age kids are?
I think probably for me, I think one of the important things is teaching your kids that it's their choice, right? You can give them allowance. That is your choice, but then give them the choice on what they do with it. Explain to them what happens if you save that allowance up for 5 weeks, 5 months, so that they can get something bigger. Don't automatically just say, okay, well, then I'm going to buy them the bigger thing because they can't save up that money. Teach them how to save that money, what happens when they save that money. And if you want to incentivize them, you can say, hey, if you save this for 4 weeks, I'll give you the 5th week so that they understand there's a value in saving money. Right? Then they understand, okay, it's their choice. You can tell them, you do whatever you want to do. You can spend the money, but here's an incentive for you to save. because then I don't have to pay for the whole thing. I'm only paying for 20% of it.
That is one of the best dad hacks I've ever heard. That is an excellent idea with the incentivizing. Now, financial psychology here. Do you think it's possible? I have 2 children who have very different approaches to money. One child absolutely saves. The other one, even if it's just Apple Pay in her account. Whoops, I just outed which kid it is. No surprise to listeners.
We all knew, Gavin. Every listener of this podcast knew that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that is money burning a hole in her, shall we say, phone. And she wants to spend immediately. But I swear to God, they come from the same household, not exactly the same gene pool. But nevertheless, do you think there's a personality trait that some people just have such a hard time saving and others don't?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's in our DNA. I do think it's transferred down. It's hereditary to some degree. The body keeps the score, and it comes from previous generations. And I think there are some people are just predisposed to spending and not saving and being more reckless, and some people are more militant and more restrictive.
It also is. This is what makes personal finance personal.
Yeah.
Right. 80% of money is the same for everybody because it's transactional. 20% of money is different for everybody because it's who they are as a person. The people that you spend time with, think about the people that your daughter spends time with, right? Are they the kind of people that also feel like or are constantly spending? Are they the ones who are showing off that they're getting things, right? Does she then develop some sort of and I don't know if this is the right way to say this, but kind of a slight jealousy tendency because her friend maybe comes from a family that has more money, or their parents are a cash machine for them, even though they maybe cannot afford it.
Or social media,
Absolutely.
showing high, accumulation of stuff on social media. Yeah. Yep.
Well, and we've already seen the social media companies come out and say, yes, they agree that they target young girls, right? Girls between the ages of 9 and 15, they target them because they want to turn them into buyers right away.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's everywhere, and it's very effective.
I feel like Gavin, I don't know if you feel this way. Like when you grow up as an artist, you get real good with money real fast because it is feast and famine. You are making $10K a week, and then you are making nothing for months at a time. And I feel like I got really good at it, but I feel like I'm somewhere between the 2 people you were talking about, where I will literally nickel and dime myself with a folder. Like I need to buy my son a folder for school. I will drive to 3 different stores and I will hem and haw over a 10-cent difference. I'm not even joking. I remember one time standing in a CVS, toggling back and forth between this like dollar folder and this like 40 cents folder. And I really wanted the dollar folder, but I was like, do I really need to spend? And I'm going, and then but every once in a while, I will drop $2K like in a day on boots, on bedazzled boots. That's
penny wise and pound foolish.
Yeah,
it comes from.
Exactly. Yeah. Or am I saving the money, doing all these little tiny things to be able to spend the $2,000? But I do feel like being an artist set me up financially so much better in a way. Because it was constantly feast or famine. And so you learned really quickly, even when it was feast, you still live in that middle. So when it's famine, the volatility of your finances don't really affect your day-to-day life if you're smart.
Yeah. We see similar things with real estate agents because they'll go through feast and famine. Some of them never learn.
When we were chatting earlier along these lines, I think one of the most interesting things you said to me was it's really important to say no as a parent. Can you explain that?
Yeah, the reason why we say it's important to say no is, one, you train your kid that the world isn't always yes, right? So when your kid is out of your house and they hear no from their boss, or they hear no from the person that they're interested in, or they hear no
or
from...
they lose an election.
Right. Then they understand what no really is, right? But the other thing is no actually benefits you and them in the long term. And what I'm bringing this around to is also your retirement. You can be the yes parent and give your kids everything that they want want while they are your children, and they're going to want that to continue even after they've left the house, right? We know the studies show right now, I think it's 48% of millennials are still getting some sort of financial daily life benefit from their parents.
Yeah.
So one thing that never ends. But if you say no, if you say yes to them today, you may be a burden to them in the future. And what I mean by that is if you're not setting aside any money for your future because you're spending it all on them today, you're not going to have any money in retirement, and you're going to turn around and look at your kids and say, it's time for you to take care of me. Or you're going to be that burden to them because physically you cannot take care of yourself. Whereas if you learn to say no to your kids today, you can still say yes from time to time, but you set that side of money for your future, then you are the grandparent who can say yes to them a lot more frequently. Then they will appreciate that later, and you're not going to be a burden to, or hopefully not a burden to them.
David, really quick, will you mind coming over tonight around 6 p.m. and telling my daughter no? I think I need you to do it because
it takes a village.
It's not working what I'm doing. So just a quick puddle jumper from Toledo to New York City. So I just to make it a little fun, I'm just curious because I know you guys are very serious and you're very smart and you're very financially savvy, but you got to have spent money in your personal lives on something really dumb and like I should never have done this. I'm curious, do you guys have like a one thing where you're like, yeah, I dropped, an insane amount of money on something really stupid, but I just really wanted it?
I'll tell you about a really stupid story.
But
in hindsight, I really regret it. But so I was getting my master's when I was working in corporate, and every year you'd get your tuition reimbursement from as one of the benefit. So I got my tuition reimbursement check, which was like $5,000. I decided to spend all that money to go to Las Vegas, gamble for the weekend, and see Madonna.
Come on. You needed that.
So I was still paying off my student loan like 10 years later than I needed to.
Oh shit.
Actually, we made them.
Did it really end up being basically, is that the lesson? Is it took you 10 more years to pay it off because you blew it all in Vegas?
We just literally paid it off last year.
Yeah. Last year, so we've been together for 23 years. So 22 years we were paying on that for him to see Madonna.
That tour was...
Does Madonna know about this? Does she know it? She could wipe that.
I tag her all the time on Instagram, but bitch won't pay attention.
I mean, as young as she thinks she is, maybe she is honestly too old to even know she's being tagged on Instagram.
That could be, yeah.
But was the concert good?
Yeah, life-changing. It was actually
and
so
I wish
good.
I would have gone.
It was so good that when he saw the video clips afterward, he's like, okay, the next time she goes on tour, I'm going with you. And so we did.
That was
the Confessions tour, and then we ended up going to shows 2 nights in a row.
Yeah.
What about you, David? Any stupid purchases out there?
Well, so for me, I'm not the big spender. I'm the nickel and dimer, and I also am the one that has the existential crisis of walking in the store and can only buy one thing. Right, and get to the checkout lane, and I'm like, I only have one thing. There's clearly something else I need.
Clearly, you've never been to Costco with David.
Yeah,
went to Costco this morning. Literally pulled in, unloaded, and came up here.
Just for one thing, and ended up dropping $275.
$284. Yeah.
Psychology of spending and marketing.
Yep. So for me, it was I built all my credit card debt through. Every morning, I would stop and get a bagel and coffee, and then I would say probably 3 to 4 times a week, I was going out to lunch with friends at work, and so. Over time, I didn't realize how much money I was spending. And I built up $14,000 of credit card debt doing that.
In bagels and lunches.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
But
that's a very common one that people have. I think a lot of people don't realize all those little things add up. And you think, I'm just stopping at the bagel shop once a week and supporting my local baker.
But the balance, though, is I feel like the balance is like, yes, those things can add up. And they can add up to some fucking joy in a world burning around us.
Susie Orman says,
a frappuccino brings me 10 seconds of joy, and if I get rid of that, then there's what am I saving for? Yeah.
So Susie Orman says the latte effect is once in a while, maybe not every single day, but It's not going to break the bank, and you need to have some pleasure.
Right. Enjoy yourself.
So I always like to say to people that if you can't afford the big things in life, enjoy the small things.
Yeah.
But if you enjoy the small things too much, you will never be able to afford the big things.
Everything in moderation. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
That was great.
Not everything.
So, guys.
Well, even moderation in moderation. Right?
So, guys, where can we read more from you and hear more from you? Tell our listener where to get more.
It's really weird that you asked that question because my husband early this morning was just saying, how can I hear from you less?
Very relatable.
Why are you talking so much? It's too early. We are the Queer Money Podcast everywhere on all the platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok even.
All right.
We have the Queer Money Podcast on all the podcast players, and then we also have the YouTube channel.
YouTube channel. We aspire to be exactly like you guys at some point, but first we need to start saving.
We can't
some
afford
money.
it.
Yeah, we can't afford it. So, always our last question. Tell us about a moment you will never forget in your parenting journey.
Joe was, I think, 15. I think it was when he, for his 15th birthday, I went to him and I said, what do you want to do? What shall we do with you for your birthday? And he said, the very first concert he ever went to was with his grandparents, and they went and saw
Not Madonna.
Oh my God. No, it was like some like 60s group, and it was just, he said it was horrible. Well, it wasn't horrible. He was sitting around with a bunch of 70 and 80-year-olds, and he's 14. So he said, I want to go to a concert. I want to go see Imagine Dragons. So we took him to Red Rocks in Colorado to see Imagine Dragons, and the show was amazing. And he just was stunned. He had never been...
Like, this lead singer was in the rafters, upside down, playing the drums while all this light show and everything was phenomenal.
Yeah, and he was just he all of a sudden had a new appreciation for live music. And he just would not stop. He just, the whole time, thank you so much. I love this. This is amazing. This is great. I'm glad we did this. I'm glad it was with you guys. And then he's like, what is that horrible smell? And we said, Joe, welcome to marijuana. It's an outdoor venue, and it's
Colorado.
And it's Red Rocks.
Yes. And so it was just a great experience. And he still talks about that today. He's like, I'm so glad that we did that together. So
I'm still waiting for those moments of gratitude from my children. That in the moment, they would be able to say thank you for this. But I'm still in the mode of someday they'll appreciate this. I hope.
I feel like I'm worried about the other part of the story, which I don't even want to know the answer to, of is like what that other concert was. Because if it's like Britney Spears or like NSYNC, I'm gonna kill myself. It's just a bunch of old people sitting around and be like, oh God, that was me.
Which is
I want to say it was something like. Literally, I think it was like something like the Osmonds, or
right.
It was like
it was like Branson, Missouri, sort of.
Right, one of those concerts where these individuals had their hits back in the 70s, and they haven't had any since then.
Probably a concert that won't break the bank, but also won't put you in debt for a long time, but also much less memorable. So,
and will be done by 6:45 p.m.
Exactly.
David and John, we are so glad that you came to depress David and me anyway about our financial futures, but I do think that you have given all of us a lot to think about. So we will stalk you on the socials and try to learn more from you, because even as you said to me the other day, you have 10 years of podcast knowledge out there for people to learn from. So, hey, listener, go do something better with your time. Don't listen to us. Listen to them. And in the meantime, David and John, thank you for demeaning yourself by being on our stupid.
No, it's an honor. Thank you so much for having us.
This has been fun. Thank you.
So something great for me this week was actually prompted by listener David. Thank you, David, for pointing this out to me. As you're not David, you're Dave. But anyway, listener Dave reminded me that earlier this week, I was at the beach with my kids. They have a little floating raft that's like, 25 yards, 50 yards. I don't know how to measure distances. It's out there. You have to swim to it. And we were playing basically foursquare with a volleyball with my two kids, me and my daughter's friend. And my daughter's friends, we played for, it felt like 3 hours, but it was probably 45 minutes. It was super fun. Whenever you knocked the ball off, you had to be able to be the one to jump in the water and get it. And I could tell that they were starting to devolve. My kids were starting to be a little more like, no, that was me. No, that was your fault. No, it was your fault. And I'm like, well, I turned to my daughter's friend. I'm like, well, we had a good run. We made it about half an hour. And she goes, my God, my siblings and I wouldn't play this at all. Your kids are perfect together. And I was like, oh. So it was kind of a double header of something greats that I had a blast inventing a new game of volleyball foursquare on a floating raft. And somebody else saying that from the outside, my kids are pretty great. And she was a teenager, by the way.
Oh my God. That's the highest compliment. A teenager, they don't like anything.
Yep. Highest
compliment. You know, it's funny. Like whenever another parent compliments your parenting, my first thought is always like, oh, you don't know the truth. You don't know what happens behind these closed doors. But also you're kind of like, fuck yeah, I'm awesome. I'm way better than you as a parent. All right. So my something great is this is my favorite time of year because it is both my son's birthday and my husband's birthday. My son and my husband were born just 4 days apart. And what that means is my son gets all the glory and my poor husband gets whatever is left over as far as cake is concerned or any sort of time off. But we had we just recently bought this new house. And part of the metrics of buying this house was, hey, now we don't have to pay $1,000 every time we have a birthday party for one of our kids to go to a stupid jump place where everybody gets cholera. Now we can host it for free.
Nice.
What that means is we pay $500 for a bounce house to be delivered to our house and another $300 for pizzas and cake. And, it all ends up being the same. But we had a blast. We had a bounce house that had like a slide that you could connect a water hose to that came. So the kids came in their bathing suits. And it was one of those parties where I saw it from the point of view of my son's memory. Is that weird and a little heady? But like they were all gathered around the cake singing happy birthday. And I was like, oh, these are the photos I kind of remember from when I was a kid. And I was like, oh, I remember my 5th birthday when I got that spinny art set or my 6th grade when I got the Nintendo. So it was just it was a great party. A lot of our friends were there. But also, it's my husband's birthday. And my husband is my favorite person in the whole world. Yes, more than my kids. And he outranks them to me. And unfortunately, he is always having to deal with whatever's left over because it's all about my son's birthday. And then it's like, oh yeah, happy birthday, Brian. And he's like, thanks. So happy birthday, Emmett. Happy birthday, Brian.
And this was the episode also where our guests actually said, stop spending so much money on birthday parties, which cracks me up.
And that is our show of hypocrites. If you have any comments, suggestions, or general compliments, you can email us at GaytriarchsPodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can DM us on Instagram. We are at GaytriarchsPodcast. On the internet, David is at DavidFMPod everywhere, and Gavin is at Gavin Lodge in bankruptcy.
Please leave us a glowing 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks, and we'll outspend a birthday party on you next time on another episode of Gaytriarchs.